Gacius has not backed off whatsoever. He's in a really bad turret over on the left-hand side, sort of protecting that as best it can. And we get an obelisk out here for the defense. However, Rildcom is ready for it. He's got these tripods with shields. Welcome to Kane's Wrath. I'm your host, Korak, and today's map is Hurricane Lands. Disclaimer, these are unranked matches. They're primarily here just for the purpose of showcasing patch 1.03. And all matches in this series will be patch 1.03. To start us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the red and purple robes and the marked of Kane and nod gloves, we have Gacius and Rildcom. This time their opponents in the top right-hand side of the map, wearing the green and cyan robes, sporting the nod and steel talon gloves. Here is Lamas and FateZero. All fighters ready? Begin! Everybody has begun their scouting phase in this part of the game. We have Awaken taking out other militant squads, and other GDI factions moving into each other's bases. We also have a buggy here. He's not going to be able to do too much on the harassment front, but I guess he will be able to take out a couple of the rifleman squads for the GDI faction. Yep, there they go. But the most important part is the fact that he has that buggy there to do all of the scouting. He can keep an eye on both of the nod players. It's typically the nod players that do something sneaky. And for those who don't know, the way the natural expansions are divided up is the player closest to this one will obviously grab that one, and the player next to them will grab the two Tiberium expansions over on that side, as we see players doing right now. That is the more optimal way of doing this strategy. I do know sometimes that they'll use their allies' build radius to build here or here, as in the other player will get some refineries in there or something like that. We do have our first set of attack bikes moving over here by Rildcom. Rildcom's seeing the watchtower. It is powered down, but they can still pick on a harvester potentially. No, I take that back. There actually is pitbulls, so there is a response here. They're gonna be able to take a couple of pot shots on the bike, but it's gonna be too little too late. The watchtower is here, the pitbulls are here, and the bikes are gonna go down just as quickly. I take it back. There's actually both pitbulls went down, leaving a third one remaining. Those bikes finding an amazing purchase against the pitbulls. Normally they don't do super well against them, but he was able to get his shots off where he needed and when he needed. A good answer over here by Green, by who was that? Lamas. Getting the Scorpion tanks out. That's a good answer to bike and buggy. Sure, they're not quite as fast, but they can soak up a lot more of those rocket shots, and buggies for the most part are useless against them. If they do get EMPs later on, that can be something that will be useful against them, but even still, there's only so much damage they're going to be able to do to a Scorpion tank, to Lamos's Scorpion tanks. Speaking of Scorpion tanks, Lamas is actually moving his Scorpion tanks into the natural expansion over here of red, of Gacius, and he's going to get the squish on the rocket squads. The only thing he was really worried about, take it back, there's actually a laser tower here to push them out as well, but he was able to get some good kills on those rocket squads. Bike's going on to continue the harassment, taking down one final Scorpion in the northern side of the map, and it looks like most of these Scorpions are still pretty hurt. The defense is holding for red for Gacius. He is keeping a tight grip on that northern expansion, and it looks like we're actually getting Rildcom setting up rather quite nicely inside of his natural expansion. He has not been contested yet by FateZero. FateZero, I'm guessing, might be teching up instead of moving in. I haven't seen a lot of forces from him other than Pitbull. There are the Titans, so maybe that's what he was waiting on to get a couple numbers out. And we actually get a snipe over here. The red player Gacius is able to get a harvester and get out, doing what Lamas was not able to do to him, taking out a harvester almost for free. I don't believe he lost any units. That was a good grab for him. He found a good opportunity to move in there. We have a couple more scouts from Rildcom moving in on the old main base of his opponent, getting some scouting off. He's probably probably looking for something to grab, something to snack on, but he wasn't able to find any purchase there for him. They weren't able to get too much, but they did get scouting off at least. That is a small consolation prize for losing all of those units, but the game is transitioning over into a different phase, so it may not be that big of a deal. And here we go, we're getting our first little bit of harassment from FateZero, but if he's not careful, he's going to lose a Pitbull. That Pitbull is in kind of a bad spot. There are a bunch of Scorpions, there are a bunch of Titans here to support this advance, and there's a lot of man spam with no Wolverines as the answer to the man spam of Rildcom. Gacius able to set a turret over on the left-hand side, sort of protecting that as best it can. And we get an obelisk out here for the defense for Rildcom, and this is not going to be a good assault for FateZero. This is not going to turn in his favor whatsoever. There are too many rockets here to deal with. There is a disruptor tower, there's an obelisk, and it looks like, oh no, we do get some small reinforcements from Lamas, but they back out just as soon as they get there. The forces for FateZero are pushed back rather unceremoniously. The defense was definitely there on Rildcom's front. He had plenty of rockets, he had the disruption tower, and he's now got some avatars now moving forward into the defense. Looks like we also got some avatars from Gacius over here, so we have dual avatars on both sides. Rildcom might be going for what Futurama likes to do, which is the man spam mixed in with the avatars. I usually see that going pretty well, because those avatars need time to make it to point A or point B, and they also need something to soak up damage for them. And you can't ignore the rocket squads forever, especially if you pair them up for it. And then everything else is just going to be entirely a diversionary tactic, a meat shield. FateZero positioning to move over around to the southern part of Rildcom's base, possibly looking to grab this while continuing to harvest the other Tiberium field over there. He's moving most of his forces, most of his mammoth tanks over here, but I think that Rildcom has the answer to this problem. This man spam is going to be able to do a lot to the mammoths. Mammoths aren't going to be able to do too much against the man spam. They will be able to take out the avatars slowly but surely, and here we go. I think we're building into a two-pronged assault. Hopefully FateZero moves in to support Lamas. Lamas is here in a really bad spot, losing Scorpions left and right. He's sort of pinched in between two sets of avatars, and it's not looking great for him. Behemoth moves in to start taking pot shots at the base. Spectre moves up, and the forces of Rildcom are moving to meet this aggression. They do have the answer to this solution. Moving these rocket squads are really all they need to deal with that. He can take his time and back his avatars up in order to deal with the rest of this. And oh no, there are a crazy number of Venoms here with no air defense. At some point, Lamas built a whole bunch of Venoms over here to start attacking his opponent. I completely missed that. I missed the airfield, and it looks like Rildcom missed it as well. He went from a very good spot to not being a great spot. There are the SAM turrets, but they're not going to be able to do too much to the Venoms as of right now. They will start slowly whittling down, but the damage is done, as well as the forces for Rildcom are starting to move in there. We do get a one-click over here for Rildcom, where he puts down the decoy army as a defense, but on the other side of the map, Gacius is crushing the base of his opponent. There's nothing really from Lamas to be able to stop that, but the same can be said over here for these mammoth tanks. There are no answers yet to the mammoth tanks. Mammoth tanks are pretty much locked in with those mines on the field. We have a Redeemer moving forward. That's definitely going to be a good answer to fighting all of these mammoth tanks. Mammoth tanks are just pushing extremely hard, backed up by 3 of these behemoths, and they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to the Redeemer, but the Redeemer's primary job is to soak up this damage, so he is doing what he was born to do. He may get taken out, but he's going to give the avatars time to continue their assault, to continue their pressure, but these behemoths need to be taken out. The MCV for FateZero is also almost taken out, but these behemoths, just like I said, need to be dealt with. Spectres are here to start using some of their counter artillery, and I think most of the avatars for Rildcom are down, while Gacius is still continuing his assault in the north. Lamas' natural expansion is all but knocked out. This assault has finally been delayed over here in the south by Rildcom. Still no answers to these Venoms. Venom's going to constantly keep getting ranked up on these avatars, but the avatars are going to continue moving forward, taking out more and more of the base of Lamas. Lamas basically only has those air units left. one Behemoth gets back up and starts doing some damage to the Shredder turrets. That's going to be unfortunate for Rildcom. Rildcom needs every little bit he can get his hands on. He actually has a two ranked up avatars. Those avatars are going to be able to have more HP, more damage, and they're going to be able to do more and more on their end. Avatars meet avatars, as well as Black Hand over in the northern side of expansion, and there is just mayhem everywhere on every part of the map. It looks like the avatars are finally getting picked on. Gacius' avatars are in a bad spot. I do not believe they have anything in the form of air defense. They are going to be able to take out their counterparts, the other avatars, and they will be able to, I believe, walk over these Black Hand squads, but the Black Hand squads are still going to do a good amount of damage. The assault for FateZero has finally stopped. He has finally lost his MCV and most of his momentum, and it looks like at this point everything is just going to be mop up for Gacius and for Rildcom. Their defense was just too great, and while Rildcom was defending, Gacius was attacking Lamas and is still continuing to attack Lamas. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, there is the GG. Lamas and FateZero just not able to take the cake in this match. Let's see how our players fare in the next round. That is our match, though, Commander. Match 2 is coming right up. Commanders, ready your forces. Match 2 kicks off on Tiberium Pantanus. This battle is sponsored by Slot Speed Raceway, 4 races that last a lifetime. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, wearing the purple and blue robes in the Reaper 17 gloves, here stands Rildcom and Firestorm. We have new challengers on the top right-hand side of the map, wearing the yellow and the green robes in the Nod and Black Hand gloves. Here is Taris and Dinamics. All fighters ready? Begin! Everybody has started out strong. Speaking of strong, we have some shadow teams over here by yellow, probably going for one of these harvesters, going to be the absolute pest early on in the game. There they go, shadow teams in, shadow teams out. Oh my god, that's super great to see. I'm always happy to see them. They looks like they got a little bit of a rank up in that as well. Descent's moving for one of the harvesters of green, and they get the kill. Those Descents doing a great job. That was super great from both sides. Taris was able to get a good kill on one of the power plants and is probably going to get another one here in a moment. Those shadow teams are just absolute pests to deal with. And the answer to that, though, was to kill one of the harvesters of green of Dynamics, which they were able to get with those Descents. That's super great to see. Those Descents don't always get a lot of good purchase, but they're very good early on in the game to take out like Tiberium spikes and everything. And it looks like Dynamics is actually missing his Tiberium spike over here in the south. Maybe he is unfamiliar with the map, or maybe he wasted some money on something. I guess if he does have a harvester down, he's not going to have as many resources, but he should be able to build that up sooner rather than later. And these shadow teams just won't quit. They got another kill. I think that's 3 buildings, 2 power plants for sure. I'm not sure what the third one was. Engineer does move forward. He was protected by the Cabal squads, and it looks like Dynamics was able to get his Tiberium spike. Better late than never, though. Everybody's continuing their minor skirmishing. Shadow teams are still out. Nothing to deal with them except for Seeker tanks, if any of our players have built them, but I haven't seen them quite yet. And we do have our first grab of the blue Tiberium. It looks like Firestorm, I should say, is going to grab that first little bit of Tiberium. And there he goes. He gets the full sector of Tiberium while the Shard Walkers push out these Confessor Cabal squads. Okay, I thought they were actually chasing another Seeker tank. That didn't make any sense because there was not a Skrin faction on the right-hand side of the map. It's just Nod and Nod. I guess more accurately, it's Nod and Black Hand. Getting some good development on the natural expansions for both sets of players. Progression is going pretty well. We get our first little set of Seeker Tanks going for one of the Harvesters. I can't quite tell if it was able to get a kill off on it. It was too hard to see. One Seeker Tank does get taken out in this minor harassment, but more and more are moving forward for Firestorm. Firestorm not done with this assault. Gonna keep continuing to pick on these Scorpion Tanks, hopefully try to get a Harvester kill, but not quite yet. Seeker Tanks pushing out the forces of words are hard, of Taris. Taris was looking for a little bit of a snack for his bikes, but was able to find the purchase that he wanted. His forces do get pinched a little bit over here by the Seeker Tank. Seeker Tank loses its shields, which means that Rildcom was able to grab shields for his first upgrade. The assault is continuing for Firestorm. Firestorm just absolutely inside of the business of Dynamics. Dynamics having a lot to deal with. All of these Seeker Tanks and these Descents starting to move in. I probably would have taken out the War Factory with the Descents, but he's probably got other things in mind. Black Hands moving forward and going to be able to take out the Descents rather unceremoniously. That is extremely unfortunate for Firestorm. Firestorm needed those Descents, and he did not find any purchase with it, and now his forces are beginning to crumble over on this aggressive attack. New set of Descents moving forward, but another Black Hand squad is still here to take them out, and they die just as quickly as the other. And oh no, another Shardwalker moves into the mess. I believe he was positioned, or I believe he was misclicked into his doom. But the assault's not over. Rildcom is moving in right up on top of his allies' assault after the forces have been a little bit weakened. This is still a lot to fight with and a lot to deal with. This is a lot of Scorpion Tanks for Dynamics. Dynamics is going to be able to help his opponent, or help his ally in the defense, pushing Rildcom on his back foot, pushing Rildcom's forces backwards. Dynamics doing a phenomenal job on the defense. First fighting Firestorm and then pushing out Rildcom after his aggression. The left-hand side of the map has lost a good number of units. Hopefully they have been ecoing up rather well on their side, because they are going to need it. Every single unit you lose is like losing a small amount of eco. This game very much is a war of attrition. And speaking of attrition, it is continuing over here as these Shardwalkers are unsupported, as these Devourer tanks are unsupported, when the forces of both Taris and Dynamics begin to move into the natural expansion of Rildcom. However, Rildcom is ready for it. He's got these tripods with shields, and there we go. We actually have a large number of air forces. These Storm Riders are going to be able to take out so many of the Scorpion Tanks. That's definitely going to level the playing field and take out a Harvester as well. These Storm Riders finding amazing purchase, but they need to get out of range of the SAM turrets before they get taken out. But there goes another Harvester. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're fine with dying as long as they take out Harvester after Harvester. But losing this number of Storm Riders is going to be a pain in the butt. SAM turret is going to get taken down, but there are two more to replace it. Storm Riders dying left and right, but this is still a staggering number of Storm Riders. I don't know why he's not running over to the north and trying to get what little picks off he can for these Scorpion Tanks. Getting the Scorpion Tanks with a Storm Rider would be very good for him, or just moving the Storm Riders into a better position. The Scorpion Tanks, for the most part, have been replaced for Dynamics. Dynamics is coming over here to support the defense of his ally. Rildcom continuing with his assault, having a good number of tripods, taking out the majority of the... Nope, actually the majority of the forces of Taris over here are actually over here in the north, waiting for his ally to move forward so they can move and catch Rildcom unawares. These Scorpion Tanks really need to be focusing on the tripods instead, though. Those tripods are going to be their biggest threat in dealing with it. I know there is a good number of Ravengers here, but those tripods just need to be dealt with. And here are the reinforcements. Here is the Air Force. The Storm Riders are moving in. They're going to start picking up these Scorpions. The Scorpions didn't act soon enough, and they just get picked off extremely unceremoniously. They had a really good chance to make a comeback there, but I'm not sure it's going to work now. They're going to lose a lot of infrastructure. These Storm Riders sure are definitely going to get taken out, but it's not going to be enough. The towel gets thrown in. The right-hand side decides to call it, giving the match to Rildcom, giving the match to Firestorm. Commanders, it's time for a quick transmission. Stretch those legs and meet me back here for match 3. Commanders, the fight continues. Match 3 starts now on the Harvest. This round is sponsored by Samurai Scissors, cutting through the clutter with honor. Starting us off on the top side of the map, wearing the yellow and the green robes and the nod and the GI gloves, we have Gacius and Lamas. Once allies, now enemies on the bottom side of the map, wearing the Scion and the purple robes in the steel talon and the nod gloves. Here is FateZero and Rildcom. All fighters ready? Begin! We are here on the Harvest. This is a great map to see, unless I've got it backwards. I know this is a 1v1 map that is dueled, as in it's like mirrored on the opposite side for the most part. I've seen this map a handful of times. I don't remember it being called the Harvest. I thought it was called something else, but I could be wrong. Y'all could let me know down in the comments if I missed something here. Maybe I misread it on command post when I picked up the replay, but we'll see here in a little bit. Scouting for every single faction has started out as you would expect it. I think the only one lacking just a little bit here is Fate. Fate seems to be the only one that didn't get a good scout off. You know, I've brought it up before previously in this match, or in this map, but this is the map that starts with the crane opener into the refineries that move into the blue Tiberium, which means that a lot of times this fight gets started rather quickly, which is why we're seeing bikes a little bit sooner than we probably would. Buggies a little bit sooner than we probably would. Not that it's impossible to get them out, but we just seem to get them a little bit faster because of the 2 Tiberium spikes, because of the blue Tiberium, which leads into these larger engagements. One thing I never really see people do quite as much is no one really seems to grab the EMP towers. EMP can be a massive game changer in the game, but maybe it's just not worth the money to invest in an engineer and make its way all the way over there. Maybe it's just too hard to defend. I believe once you capture an EMP, everyone sort of knows about it. And we actually have our first flame tank over here by Rildcom. I'm not sure if his opponent, if Lamas, is going to see this coming. There's nothing in the way to stop it. And oh no, the MCV, the construction yard for FateZero, almost gets taken out by the bikes that moved forward. He does set up and he is beginning his natural expansion, but that MCV is at half HP. That's going to cost him some money. Flame tank wiggling its way in, looking to find some purchase. Hopefully he can run in here and grab something like the armory. That would be really great for it. It does get spotted. They do know that it is here, and the grenade squads are going to move forward. He's going to go for the crane, and he's going to go for the armory, and he's going to get it. Rildcom getting a great purchase. That's 2 buildings down, 3 buildings down, a power plant being taken out, and he's going for the command post as well. Lamas is just going to be absolutely devastated by this one flame tank, taking out a 5th structure right there, and it's still going, possibly going for a 6th structure. He keeps going and going and going. It is the Energizer Bunny of flame tanks. One flame tank was able to take out 5 structures of Lamas. That's got to be devastating. We also have some orcas here moving into the natural expansion of his opponent of Gacius. And able to get 2 harvesters taken down, delaying their resources even more. But Gacius actually has some avatars out already. I'm not sure how avatars stack up against Titans. I know Titans are usually the vehicle killers, so this will be an interesting matchup for me to find out who comes out on top. The Titans are sort of skirting around, avoiding this fight. Maybe they lose that battle, but they need to move forward and protect their MCV. They have to do something for that, but maybe the Titans are waiting for reinforcements. Couple of rifleman squads are going to try to push out the avatars as the avatars regroup and reposition, and Rildcom begins his assault over on the right-hand side of the map, although I don't think he has the forces. He does have a shredder turret and some venoms here and a couple of avatars, but that's not going to be enough to deal with all of this infantry, to deal with all of those tanks of his opponent of Lamas. Lamas bouncing back relatively quickly after losing all of those buildings. He's still going to be a bit behind Rildcom, but Rildcom did lose a good chunk of forces in that, almost evening up everything. Bikes get pinged over here. Looks like Rildcom pinged the bikes of Gacius, letting them know that they are there, letting FateZero know that they are there. And looks like FateZero has moved into, transitioned into mammoth tanks to begin his assault. His forces are looking much, much more robust than Rildcom. Rildcom sort of trying to go for a little bit of quantity with some of the with some of the infantry, but so far he looks just a little bit lacking, and that might be why right there he's going for a Redeemer. Maybe he's trying to tech up quicker than his opponents, but the avatars and the forces for both the left side of the factions are pretty strong, and Rildcom's looking a little bit outnumbered right now when it comes to forces, but maybe he has something up his sleeve. It does look like we're going to grab a couple of Spectres. Everybody is still positioning, nobody wanting to take an assault just yet. Rildcom helping out FateZero by putting a disruption tower over on his side to aid in the defense, while these Orcas continue to be absolute pests, delaying the economy of Lamas even more. That Redeemer is just about complete. It's a bit over halfway, and it's soon going to be out to support the forces. If he can pop that forward and get a good rage gen, these missile squads can potentially do a large amount of damage to themselves. Bikes sneaking their way into FateZero's base, not really finding any purchase, although we do have a stealth tank here. Maybe the stealth tank got something that I missed. Maybe it finished off the Orca as it was making its way back. They were on their run back. Redeemer has risen. He is on the map, and he's supported by these avatars, by these disruption towers, and it looks like Rildcom is just going to try to build up his forces and waste more and more time getting ready for the assault of Lamas. Looks like FateZero is in a very good position force-wise. He has a good number of behemoths and titans and man spam. He's looking rather tough on the military front, and it looks like maybe we missed some one-clicks are here, maybe some more Orcas. There's a couple of units here. Nope. That is the Spectre firing off, going to be a pest, going for the disruption tower of his opponent. That is a good pick to grab. Killing that disruption tower will help him out a whole bunch, but unfortunately the Spectre is going to get pushed back by some of these rocket squads and is almost going to get taken out, but Rildcom's micro was there in order to save the little guy. Disruption tower is still there, and I think the rage gen is going to come out. There it is. There's the rage gen. If I was that Redeemer, I'd probably try to poke that disruption tower, but I guess it is weak from the Spectre, and Rildcom has begun his assault. He's moved his man spam in. He's moved in all of these units, all of these venoms. He was keeping some units back that I did not see, but he needs to concave just a little bit better, unless he's just keeping these forces entirely in reserves. There is the mine drop on top of the Redeemer. That's going to do extra damage to the Redeemer, but the avatars are going to soak up the damage for the Redeemer, and the side of Lamas is starting to crumble. FateZero is not on top of his opponent. If Rildcom is not careful here, he's going to get ambushed by Gacius. FateZero needs to move in and help out Rildcom. If they can take out this force, that will be game. Gacius has not backed off whatsoever. He's in a really bad spot. He's in a spot to get killed by Rildcom and by FateZero. This is not looking good for the team on the northern side of the map. Rildcom and FateZero's forces are just too much to deal with. Post-Korak here. It looks like our game crashed, or someone called it GG. It didn't quit properly. I'm unsure, but we did lose the very last part of that footage. The game was all but over. Either way, thanks for tuning in, Commander. I will see you in the next one.